Hello, I'm the Gravedigger, and I'd like to share some stories with you. Let's see who we can find today. Ah yes, Henrietta Sewell. She arrived in the graveyard in 1847, young, only 39. An obituary in the Niagara Mail reads, "A short residence of 15 months in this town was sufficient to establish for this lady the highest respect. Her mildness of manner, courteous deportment, and cooperation in every charitable pursuit secured the esteem and regard of all she met. She was always writing letters. She used the cross-writing method. It's how they saved paper in the 1800s. This is what it would have looked like. You take a page and you write the normal way from right to left. And then you turn the page around and again write from top to bottom. But you have to be careful not to cover all of the words that you've already written. Henrietta Sewell was particularly good at it. She was married to Reverend Dr. Francis Lundy, an Anglican minister, a controversial type with a temper. But she always spoke well of him. Surprising, really.
And I fear you may accuse me of willful neglect in not answering your most kind letter. This will, oh, you see I'm writing a letter. And I seem to, well, it's been a while. Sometimes I know exactly what I'm saying, and sometimes I confuse myself. My husband believes in frugality. That would be the Reverend Dr. Francis Lundy. It's unfortunate that he was known as being hot-tempered, autocratic, and intolerant because he wasn't always like that. Not really. And he didn't make himself overly objectionable to my family. Very much. It's strange, though. Of all the things my husband was and did, that description seems to be his legacy. But I can assure you, he was deeply committed to all of us. He swept me off my feet when first we met. I think we were both a little smitten. He had the most glorious singing voice. He was a Yorkshireman, not exactly known for their singing, but he loved music. We were married in the year of those awful rebellions in 1837. I suppose he was controversial in a way, but he was so very smart. He went to Oxford, although he didn't actually graduate from there, but he never liked to talk about that. We met in Quebec. My family was there because my father was the Chief Justice of Lower Canada. Quite important, really. My grandfather had been Chief Justice of the province of New York. But then we had to escape to Canada. After the Revolution, we were not particularly welcome in America. Life in Quebec was wonderful. It was delightful. We were so well respected there. I had 8 brothers and 4 sisters, and we all got along famously. My little sister Charlotte died, unfortunately. I named one of my daughters after her. My father took us all to England and Ireland to visit my older brothers. They were all a little worried about me, though. I was the unmarried one, and then I met Francis. And I married him. I was 29. My family wasn't overly happy with him, but at that point, I suppose it was better than having an aging spinster daughter. I thought we'd stay in Quebec. After all, he was ordained by the bishop in Montreal, and he taught classical literature at McGill. But, well, he was let go from that position for whatever reason. And then we came to Niagara. He was given the position of assistant to Thomas Crean, Crean was the rector at St. Mark's and at Queenston and at McNabb. But Reverend Crean and Frank, they didn't get along exactly. Frank felt he was at his beck and call. My husband was a little stubborn at times. I grant he was a little different. He believed in certain traditions. He farmed the land and he worked it himself. He opened and he founded schools. He opened the Niagara Classical School. He wrote for newspapers, tutored students. He wasn't against the church as it was. I think everyone thought he was, though. But he had strong opinions about everything, from the Eucharist to candlesticks, rituals, pew rents, doctrine, baptisms, and it seemed to get him into trouble all of the time, it seems. He was a good father. By 1847, we had 6 children. Well, 7. Mary, my last, died just after she was born. And then, unfortunately, so did I. Mary is buried at St. Mark's, and I'm right there beside her. Francis loved us all. But there were just so many of us. And men back then, they worked. And they had no time to raise children if their wife died. So we sent my 2 eldest back to live with my mother in Montreal. My family. I know he didn't like having to send them away. And my family had never forgiven him for not sending me back to Quebec when I was sick. He could have. My family wanted him to. My brother was a respected doctor, but he refused. Like I said, my husband was stubborn. My family never forgave him. But I had to stay. I had to stay with my daughter. You can't separate a mother from her child. I couldn't leave that little baby all on her own. And now, if you'll excuse me, I must try and finish this letter.